Hey there, it's Jan the Hedge Mystic, and I want to share with you another art journal that I've recently completed. This one is from the early part of 2024. I constructed this from scratch. You can see that it has 4 signatures and a spine that is exposed. This is book cloth, this is paper, and the colors on the front basically set the tone for the color scheme inside. So let's open up and see. I began with a little note to my ancestors, thanking them for passing on the gene for creativity to me. And this is an actual tintype, an old kind of photograph from, I think, about 1906 or 7, about there in the early 1900s. I don't know if those are family members, but they were in a family album. So in this journal, I decided to create the signatures, the pages in the journal, by making a whole series of prints on my jelly plate, and that's what I did. So all of the pages in here began life as a jelly print, and then I folded them and put them into signatures and created the pages that then had backgrounds on them that sparked the inspiration for what would go on the page. There is a lot of texture in here, interesting textiles and fabrics that have texture. Earlier on you saw a piece of bark, torn edges, there's stitching. There's a lot of collage work in here. Not so much functional pockets and things like that. Nice bit of trim here. Bit of framing. I discovered in this journal that I really like using a frame. A few words like La Luna and enlightenment on a piece of fabric. And I really loved this jelly plate print, and so I decided just to use something very minimal on it so that it would have its own presence. And then here's more texture and textured papers here. More bits of fabric and fringy bits. This is actually a piece of birch bark from a tree in my yard. Again, you can see I've utilized this frame idea again. Buttons were another new sort of addition for me. This is cut from chipboard. You can see that we're in the month of March, so this is from much earlier in 2024. And this image here is from a series of images that someone gave me that were photographic. They're not slides, they're printed photographs side by side. They're very old, and I believe they were to go into some kind of a ViewMaster that would then create, I guess, a 3D image, but they're really old, like long before the ViewMasters that came out like in the 1950s. So here you can see we're celebrating spring. This is a shifting of season. More texture, a puzzle piece. A little bit of reflection, a little bit of inner child work going on. And home. Got a little bit nostalgic in this journal. These are copper, and this says alchemy. And then there's all these cascading numbers. So there's a whole lot going on in there symbolically. We have more buttons. Now this is not actual stitching. This is faux stitching just with a fine line marker. So if you want to get that effect, but you don't have a sewing machine, you can totally get that effect. You can see a lot of rich, interesting, muted colors going on throughout this journal. This is another one of those images from the viewfinder thing, which really, really interesting. I have a whole envelope of them that someone gave me a very long time ago, and I didn't really know what to do with them until now. So again, here we have a little bit of ancestor, remembering, nostalgia, the past. Interesting mark making and textures here. More of that going on. This is actual stitching. And here it says antlers. We've got a bit of a deer, and then interesting jelly print made with stenciling and then stamping over the top. So there's lots of layers on each one of these pages. As the months progressed, as I worked on this and we got more into the spring, I started thinking about my garden. And so there's this sort of seeds and farm and growing things. But it really looked like this outside. It was still very cold and very much early spring, but I was dreaming of the garden. And then we have this word alchemy again, and these seasons that are in between seasons, like late winter into spring, that is really a time of natural alchemy in the natural world. And here this is an actual twig and some twine. Moving here to like this queen figure who was peeking through in several of the pieces. And then at the very end, a little interactive piece that comes out and slides back in. And then again, looking towards spring and a little bit of remembrance of times past. And then we come to the end. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that inspires you to use the natural world and the seasons as a thematic element in your own journals.